You ever hear the story of Bill Gates walking down the street, and if he stopped to pick up a $50 bill, he would actually lose money? That's the whole concept. It's saving time. We have a finite number of hours in our day. You can spend 8 hours trying to sort papers and do paperwork. What's the cost of your time?
I trusted my staff enough when they came to me with this idea. I said, hey, go for it. Now they're out there rocking it. And everyone's trying to copy them and do those kind of things. But what is the most impressive is their ability to sustain.
I'd like everything to be free, don't we all? But there's a cost to convenience. And this program saves a ton of time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cheer Biz podcast. I'm your host, Dan Cotton, and today we have a really cool experience for me. We are sitting down with John Neville, who actually was my very first cheer coach. No joke. He started coaching me as a freshman in high school, and he was the person who got me. I mean, he didn't necessarily get me into cheer, but he's the one who helped me find my love of cheer. I have the opportunity to sit down and talk with John, and I already spoiled it and said he was a cheer coach for me way back in the day. It was only like 10 years ago though, right?
About.
I'm super young. So I've spoiled that he's been a cheer coach, but John, would you mind telling our audience a little bit about yourself and your background in cheer?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Dan. It's actually a privilege to be here because you're one of the few people that I have more hair than. So it's nice to be here. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. My background in cheer, I'm down in Southern California. I got my start up in Oregon. I cheered at Oregon State, taught camps for USA for many years for the United Spirit Association, and now I'm in Southern California, and I'm going on my 23rd year of owning OC All Stars, and we're just having a blast. We're having so much fun. I have a wife and 4 amazing kids, and it's just things are going well, and we're having a blast there. It's each year's a new learning curve, but it comes with a lot of amazing opportunities.
Yeah. So way back in the day, and I'm going to give people a little bit of context too. So like I mentioned, John was my first cheer coach, and believe it or not, John started one of the first, there were 2 that started at the same time, all-star cheer teams in the state of Oregon way back in the day. And we sucked. We were not good. But I remember we practiced in a church. They had a gym, and we just kind of threw it together. And so that was your humble beginning in the all-star cheer world. Then you moved to California. Tell me how OC All Stars came about, and now you guys have grown pretty substantially since you started, obviously. But do you still have multiple locations, or tell us a little bit more about your gym?
Gosh, Northwest Power Cheer was the name of our first gym, and it was a learning experience, and it was new to me, but it was fun. You know, I think it's why we all start this journey, this path, because we enjoy the sport. And we have a love for these kids and seeing them grow in the sport that we're passionate about. I taught high school up in Oregon, and then I moved down to California thinking I was going to teach high school down there. And my wife to be was living down in the area, so I wanted to go be near her, and that's why I made the move down there. Got connected with a gym that I really liked, enjoyed learning from the industry. This was my first, I found legitimacy in what we were doing. Loved the kids, of course, loved the parents, worked well with them. And then we decided to start OC All Stars. So then in 2002, we started OC All Stars, and never thought it would have turned into what it has been. And it has been such an adventure, so many amazing experiences, so many wonderful opportunities to meet kids and families. I think one of the neatest things for me is now that we've got we've been there for a while, I'm the grand coach now because I have kids of the kids that I coached in our program. And it's pretty cool to see these kids coming back, and I'm coaching these 6 and 7-year-olds, and I haven't aged today, but their parents are getting so much older, and it's fun. It's a different turn of events because when I first started, I was younger than all the parents, and now I'm older than all the parents. And so it's kind of a different perspective for me. It's fun.
Yeah. So it's a wild journey when you start out versus as you get a little bit older and you look back on that younger version of yourself, and, you're like, man, I demanded respect and I had no freaking idea what I was doing.
No.
There was a lot of making it up as you go in those younger years. And I did it myself too. When I first started coaching, I look back at some of the things I did and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why did I think that was a good idea? But
yes.
You learn and you grow. And I agree. Neither one of us has aged. That's the advantage of not having hair, is we look like 35 for the next 30 years. And that's...
I still get carded.
You do not.
I think it's a state mandatory regulation.
Okay, that would make sense. So with OC All-Stars, one of the things I have to say I've always respected about your program from a business perspective is you guys kill it on social media. Like, you have your like Tip Tuesdays and all your other things that you do. And you've really been on the front end of utilizing technology in really creative and innovative ways to connect with your audience and or make things easier. So tell me how did you even realize before that was a trend in the cheer industry that you guys should be doing those kind of things, leveraging technology and Instagram and all of the other social media platforms?
This is the amazing thing about the people that I work with in our organization is I had absolutely nothing to do with this. This is Mandy and Nelson's idea. They came up with this concept, and Nelson, I have to give him credit. He always calls it Tuesday Tip, and everyone else calls it Tip Tuesday. So I want to give him his little shout out for that. But they had this idea. And they ran with it, and it's turned into the most amazing thing. And I am so proud of them. It's neat to show, just to highlight all the things that they can do, the personalities of I mean, everybody knows Mandy's personality when we get there, but Nelson behind the scenes does such an awesome job. Our coaches, DJ Sipin, it's just, that's the neat part about it is that's such a glimpse into our gym. Those personalities, you think you see those just on camera, but that's what I get every day. And that's what makes my job so fun.
Yeah. They have such a energy when you're around them. I actually got to be there. I was at a conference for the Spirit Network, and I was presenting and doing some teaching at that conference, and they had to record one of their Tuesday tips. I'll say it the correct way. And they were just having so much fun doing it. Like, they were crawling under each other and just having a blast. But you're right. Like, that energy was something they carried throughout the whole conference. Like, they just had that vibe and that fun energy. So really appreciate that about some of the things that you're doing, and way to be a humble leader and acknowledge, hey, I trusted my staff enough when they came to me with this idea. I said, hey, go for it. And now they're out there rocking it, and everyone's trying to copy them and do those kind of things. But what is the most impressive is their ability to sustain, because creating content is really fun for like the first 2 months. And then it starts to get sometimes laborious, where it's really easy to fall off, and they just continue to sustain that. It's really impressive.
It was last week. I was thinking about it, and I was watching the most recent one, and I'm thinking, how do they continue to come up with this material? Because I would be done after 2 episodes, and I'd be like, okay, I'm out, had a good run, but I don't know how they keep going.
No, I don't. I actually don't either. Like, it is pretty impressive. So you have actually been involved in working on something that's pretty cool that you're bringing out to the cheer industry. And I think it's really uniquely timed. Well, not uniquely, perfectly timed for tryout season. And you sent me some information on this, and I've had the opportunity to play around with it a little bit. And so it's called Cheer Sync. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, thanks for the opportunity to introduce this. It's having been in the industry for so many years, I've seen the way that things have started, uniforms back in the day when we wore polyester uniforms, and seeing the evolution of this sport. I have so many ideas running around in my head of things that I want to revolutionize. And I'm kind of a dreamer. That's one of the things that I get made fun of in the gym, but everybody has their role, and that's my role. But my team, we were thinking about this one day, and we're thinking about how can we make this process easier? And so the idea of digitizing the tryout process, we're always on our phones, we're always on our laptops. I mean, how many of us do tryouts and have this stack of papers that's this thick? And if you lose a piece of paper, or why are we on paper anymore? So we came up with this idea. We created this program, this application, and it's just amazing. I really am so excited to use this personally for myself for tryouts, but I really think it's an opportunity for gym owners to save time. And I think that's what everything is about nowadays. We spend so much time doing the things we do. If we can find an opportunity to make things easier, to save time, it's a win.
Yeah, I totally agree. And first off, I agree with your premise of saving time. And as an owner, we need to be really focused on doing everything we can to buy our time and make sure that we have that time available to us and to our staff to execute on the core tasks of delivering a better product to our clients. And so I love that this does answer or solve some problems in terms of like buying time back for an owner. So I played with the software a little bit, and one of the things I'm the most excited about, well, there's two things that I found really, really exciting about this. So one is the team placement process, the fact that it allows you to kind of basically drag and drop humans into their different teams and really like categorize people. So like most gym owners or coaches have done it a million different ways, right? You come in with index cards that have like different stickers on them for, pink is a flyer and green is a back spot, and you like lay your teams out, or you have different colored pieces of paper, or you circle different things. Everyone tries it a million different ways. And like you said, it gets really chaotic sometimes. So being able to like really clearly see that and like put it up on a TV. Yeah. And how many coaches, I don't think if you've coached for any length of time, everyone has been in the position where you place your teams and then you realize you forgot Susie because her index card fell on the ground or her paper got misplaced. And then you're like, oh, crud, we didn't put this kid. So being able to like visually see it. I've played with things in Canva. That's how we did it last year, and it worked okay-ish. But I'm super excited about that. And then the other aspect that I think is really, really awesome is, and Jason talks about it on his podcast, recording the skills that athletes perform. So then you can even show parents when they have a question, hey, this is the skill they perform for us. And as you can see, this was the score we gave them. This was the skill. This is how it looked. You can see how their legs are apart or how they didn't land it or whatever that may be. And this app allows you to store video of the different skills athletes are performing. Tell the listeners, I'm just giving my like one over the world. Tell the listeners, what are some of the capabilities of this app and how does it, beyond what I've already talked about, sorry if I stole all your thunder, what it does to streamline the process and simplify tryouts and make it a better experience for the coaches, the parents, and the athletes?
Yeah. Well, so it's interesting. As I progress in age chronologically, I look at these apps that are out there now, these programs, these computer programs. And I'll be honest, some of them are intimidating. I look at some of these programs that have 400 features, and I need 3. And so I was talking with my team, and I was like, why can't we just simplify this process? Why can't we? I've looked at some other tryout based applications, some team management apps, and they have so much information and so many possibilities. I don't need that much. So I wanted something, having been in this industry for so long, knowing what I need, knowing what I feel like I feel like I am well versed and experienced in the tryout process. So I know what we need. And so I tailor it to our needs. Starting from the beginning, we create a database for all of our interested athletes, and that goes into a Google Doc. And so that information gets populated into that Google Doc. From the beginning, we can import all that Google Doc information into the tryout process, into the tryout application, into CheerSync. So once all that information's there, then everything's populated. You can also just input in people individually as well. But again, we're trying to save time. So if we can, through the course of a month, get people to sign up, put their information in, it populates this Google Doc. When it's time for us to try out, all we do is hit import, and it fills our roster. It fills our tryout roster on the app. Once we do that, then, like you said, we have the ability to video the athletes through the tryout process and evaluate them and put comments. And so it's all there, and all of our coaches have access to it. Once we do this, then we can, as you said, we can drag and drop, and it's super easy to form teams. We can move kids back. We can form teams, see how it looks. It keeps a counter to see, okay, and you put them by stunt group too. So, or stunt position. So you've got a flyer, and it counts. So you've got 4 flyers, because you don't want a team of 8 flyers and 3 bases. So as it tallies that, you can go back and forth and see what it is. Once we do that, you form your teams. Again, it exports the Google Doc, it exports those rosters back out to a Google Doc, so you can import it to your class date, your class management software, or whatever it is you want to do. You can put it into an Excel spreadsheet if you do stuff like that. But then that parent mode is what you were talking about. Now we have the video from Tryouts of every single athlete. It's a special feature. It's called parent mode, where it hides all the comments from the coaches, because the parents don't need to see the comments that the coaches wrote. They get to see the specific skills that the athlete threw. You see Susie does a back walkover. Her knees are really bent and her feet are flexed. Well, it's not a really pretty back walkover. Oh, but my daughter's been working on this back walkover for the last 3 months. Well, okay, but this is what she did. And so we have concrete visual proof to show the parent wherever that places you. And then the saves for the whole year. So you have the opportunity 6 months down the road, when Susie has straightened her legs, her knees, pointed her toes, you can use it to reward her and go, man, Susie, look at what you did. Look at the improvement you've made. Or you can always go, you threw this at tryouts. Now, 3 months down the road, you're not throwing this. We have to have a conversation. It empowers the coaches to be able to do that. One other thing that I really like too is, okay, so you've got all these index cards, you've got all these papers. Well, only one person has access to those papers. We have a staff of 14, 15, 18 coaches. Now, rather than have to have everyone there for 8 hours after a 6-hour tryout day, you can send everyone home. They can go on their laptop and they can form teams, or they can form whatever, and you can collaborate the next day with everybody having had one. They feel like they have a say. If this is the route you want to go, or your decision makers, you could even do it with 3 or 4 people, however you run your tryouts. But you have multiple opportunities for everybody to have, all your staff to have access to this information.
I have a couple questions about that aspect, because I didn't know that you were capable of doing that. So does each staff member get their own login, or how does that work?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways you can do it. Everyone can share the same login. The organization is created the same. So you have either multiple users, or you can just share the same login information. The problem is when you have the same organization and you have one user, when Coach A makes the change to the roster, well, that's changed on Coach B's roster too. So if you have multiple users, each user gets to make the change to their roster. Now you have to designate whose roster is going to be the final roster, but it gives people an opportunity to kind of play at home or do something on their own. And I think it saves time altogether.
Totally. So do you have to pay for each user, or
you pay for the organization?
How does that work? So you pay for the organization. So that's sick. Like, I just got to tell you, that's freaking awesome, because what we've done in the past, we do our tryout process a little different than some people. So we do a level evaluation, and then we practice in our level groups for a couple weeks, and then we place our teams. So you initially get placed in a level, and then you place your teams. So we have a Google spreadsheet, and everyone has access, but then everyone is always going and like sorting the spreadsheet to see their different like ideas. And so you log in, and next thing you know, it's like, where'd all the level 4s go? And it's like, well, someone filtered it and changed it. And
yes,
this would take that away to where now they can play with all their different layouts and really take their time. And we even go so far as like with some of our teams, like my level 4 team that is a very competitive team to make, or my worlds team, we'll do roster checks each week where it's like, hey, if we place the team this week, these are the people who would make it. These are the people who would be alternates. These are the people who wouldn't. And we talk to the kids about it. Like, we let them know, hey, this is what I'm seeing, just so you know, like, these are the things we're looking for. And I could see that being really, really useful. So that's really cool.
I look at it from my own personal experience. Here's what we do. We do our tryouts, and then after we do our tryouts, we sit there and we deliberate afterwards and kind of try to form the teams that we can. From my own personal experience, I'm impatient. I want to get it done. I've already been there for 6 hours. I feel like I've got an idea, and I want to set this roster the way I feel it should be set, and then I want to go home. And we have coaches that want to discuss this and want to, what did she throw at Tryouts? And that's okay. And this gives the opportunity, okay, I get what I want. I get to go home. I can form my teams. I can do my teams in 30 minutes. If Coach X wants to take 4 hours, 6 hours, let him. It doesn't affect me. So they can do that. And then the next day we can come back, or later that night, we can come back and collaborate, and we can see, because we've got coaches that are so detail oriented. They want to see on paper. It doesn't show what the kid threw at Tryout. It just says what the kid threw at Tryouts. And so now we've got the video, and now each coach gets an opportunity to analyze. It's almost like every coach is at that specific tryout for that specific athlete.
Yeah, I love that. One of the other things I think is really helpful in the app is the different categories you can give to the athlete. So you can mark the level, then you can also mark whether or not they're a base, flyer, back spot, front spot, and it populates what age eligibility they have. So are they, youth, junior, senior, or junior, senior, or senior only? The one thing I would say would be super awesome, and as I know is a limited feature, but if you can have a worlds eligible tab, because that is always something that we want to factor in, and it is right. It's different than senior, and you might maybe even like an open eligible too, because those things, but I mean, still it's incredibly functional, and like, it's awesome. That would just be, as I was going through, I'm like, I was actually thinking about it last night. I have an athlete who I'm like, when did you start throwing 2 to fulls? And I'm looking at my co-coach, and I'm like, are they worlds eligible? I think they might be.
Exactly.
Because this kid is like an amazing flyer. And I'm like, that would be cool.
We all have that. I think that's the neat part. That filtering aspect is so cool, because, especially when you look at, you've got 100 kids, you've got 200 kids, you've got 300 kids at Tryouts. You have to start somewhere. So rather than looking at the daunting list of 300 athletes, you can filter. You're going to start on one end or the other. You're going to start at the bottom. You're going to start at the top, whatever. So like for us, we'll start it with our Worlds program. So I'll go level 6. I'll go age eligible and worlds eligible. We're constantly updating and adding new features based off of customer feedback. So that's a great idea. So we'll filter out all of the levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's say 5, or maybe keep 5s in there. Then at that point, what we'll do is we'll filter out we'll filter out tinies, we'll filter out minis, we'll filter out youth because they're not eligible. And then it gives us a manageable list. Okay, we've got 40 athletes now to choose our world's team from. And so rather than having to go through 300 athletes and try to pick and choose, the ability to filter the specific categories by age, by level, and even by stunt position makes a big difference. It makes it a faster process.
100%. So one of the things people always are, concerned about in the cheer industry is like, how much do things cost, right? What's the price? And I had the opportunity to look at your pricing. And before I give my opinion, would you mind telling people kind of what are the different pricing options that you could have to utilize this software?
So we have 3 pricing options, and it's based off of your enrollment, off of the number of athletes you have. The starter pack starts at $399. It's an annual subscription, and that's for 100 athletes or less, or I think it's 99. I'll double check because I don't have that in front of me. And then the next package is $499. It's based off of 100 to 150 athletes, and then the third one is $599, and that's 150 or above. There's a cost of convenience. I look at it that way. We have a class management software program that we use, and we pay several $100s a month to have this database management program. Do I want to pay it? I'd like everything to be free, don't we all? But there's a cost to convenience, and this program saves a ton of time. And so it's a value to me to pay this cost. And it's just, it's the cost of doing business.
My opinion, after looking at your pricings and looking at the software and getting to experience it, is honestly, it's a smoking deal. I always, like everyone, I assess things based off of the value that they add to my life. And when I look at my time and I go, okay, I'm going to pay $600 for the maximum package. And that's going to potentially reduce my workload by like 10 to 20 hours potentially, on top of I'm going to be spending less money on staffing because we're not going to be having a meeting for 22 hours arguing about who goes on what team. We're going to be able to see rosters and look at those things. It just like simplifies this process. And ultimately, I am always like, I buy back my time, right? My time is incredibly valuable because I can spend that on other things growing my business and spending it sorting papers. Hell, even if you do the old school print method and you are printing papers for filling out, you likely are spending over $100 just on paper. Not to mention the time of your staff. This also would allow you, in my opinion, to have...
You'll recycle in a week.
Right. And you could have less staff on site because one person could be videoing and doing some initial assessment, but everyone is going to gain access to that. So you don't have to have everyone on site running your tryout. You could have your core staff doing that. You could decrease the load. So ultimately you're hiring an admin assistant for $600 for a year. Like, okay, so I'm paying what? Nothing?
Well, and even the payment processing application that we have allows you to make monthly payments. If that one-time fee is too much for you, you can spread it out through the payment processing application. So it's like, $39 a month. I mean, how much do our coaches spend getting coffee every week?
It seems like a very high value add for what I would consider a reasonable price. Is it cheap? No, but I don't like things that are cheap. There's a reason I don't shop at the dollar store. So I want things that are high quality. And I'm really impressed with the app, and you guys have no skin in the game on this. I get no kickback. This is not a sponsored episode. All I can tell you is I had access to a trial of the app, and I thought it was really cool.
We have a free trial. We have a 7-day trial for anyone that wants to play around with the app and try it. So I think it gives everybody the opportunity to look at the app, to play around with it, and to make their own decision. And if it's right for you, let's go, and we've got a great support team that's going to help walk you through it. Again, I think the goal was to make it intuitive and to not make it complicated.
And it is that. It is intuitive. It is relatively simple, like that import process. I made my Google form. I imported it. Boom. I was done. All my athletes were there. And the cool thing is you can import it with all the information, a lot of the information pre-filled, or just name, first, last, and birth date. And then you go in and add that stuff with the tryout. So I thought that was super awesome. Yeah, it is. It's very intuitive. It's very simple to use, and it's a time saver, which for me, that's worth paying for.
You ever hear the story of Bill Gates walking down the street, and if he stopped to pick up a $50 bill, he would actually lose money? It's the whole concept. It's saving time. We have a finite number of hours in our day. You can spend 8 hours trying to sort papers and do paperwork. What's the cost of your time? And at the end of the day, that's what I look at as well.
The other big thing I love about it, and I've talked about it on the podcast before for those of you who've been listeners for a while, but one of the things that is so important to reducing your pain and stress as a gym owner or as a coach is transparency. And something like this allows you to be very transparent. It allows you to have the videos, have the information, and just be really open and honest when parents ask a question. Because parents, there are going to, no matter who you are, no matter what gym you are, no matter how good you are, you're going to have some parents that disagree with your decision. And being able to be transparent and say, hey, look, here's the videos, here's the things we saw, just and show them that information makes it so much easier. And just the ability to store the videos is huge, you guys. Like, otherwise, if you do video, and I don't know how everyone does it, but like, okay, so now I've got to take those videos from whatever device I filmed them on, and I'm either going to put them into a photo album, or I'm going to upload them to a Google Drive, or put them in a Dropbox, and then I've got to share those links. And if I want to give it to parents, I maybe have to upload it to a YouTube or a Vimeo. Like, it can get very complicated. And the next thing you know, you're spending 10 hours just uploading videos. So I thought it was really cool that this is just for one athlete, right? So I was like, man, this is so awesome. I can literally just hit record. It records to this app, and I just have it there.
Yeah, I tell you what, we've played around with it. I'm excited to use it personally for myself.
Tell me, are there any additional things that we should know about CheerSync, or any cool things that it does that we haven't already discussed?
I think we've discussed the nuts and the bolts of the program. Again, it's pretty user-friendly. The goal is to simplify the process versus give you 100 bells and whistles. We want to make it easy for you to understand, from the person that's tech savvy to the person that's more of a beginner, because I know the industry. I know the cheerleading coaches in this industry, and I want to be able to we wanted to make this program be relevant for everybody, have everybody have an opportunity to use it. We want it to save time. I think that there's so many great features to this, but there's a limited number of features because we want to, I'm going to continue to use the word simplify. We want to simplify the process. We want to make it, I love your word of transparent, because the parents, at the end of the day, they, as a coach, you have access to this video. So we've covered everything. I mean, and there's a 7-day trial, like I said. So if you use that 7-day trial, you get plenty of opportunity to play through the program, to familiarize yourself with all the features, how you can filter through the different levels and ages. I think it's going to save a bunch of time.
There's one feature we didn't talk about that is super cool. And it is the fact that I can go into my settings, and if we have a rubric for skills, of these skills are low range, these skills are medium range, these skills are high range. And you can input the skills that you're looking for into your settings. So when you're going in, when you're evaluating the athlete, you're saying, okay, they're performing the back handspring, back walkover, back handspring. I select that skill. So I've already got that list of preloaded list of skills they're performing. So now no longer am I having to either scribble ROBHS and I maybe miss a skill, especially those, come on, you guys, those long, like round off, back handspring, step out, sachet, round off, back handspring, back handspring, back handspring, switch kick, like so many things, right? I'm just selecting round up, back handspring specialty, and here's the video. And so I thought it was really cool. And I think it's cool that you can customize it, right? So everyone has their own things that they might be looking for their team. Maybe you've put out, hey, next year, our level 1 team is all doing Valdez's. So if you don't have a Valdez, you're not making elite. And you can put a Valdez in there and have that be one of the assessed skills. So I thought that is a really awesome feature. And like I said, I got a trial yesterday. I imported my athletes. I set up all of my skills based on my rubric. It was super easy. I can run tryouts tomorrow and the system's already built. It took me 30 minutes to put it together. So a very small amount of work on the front end to make this thing functional.
Customizable is the key. Like you had mentioned with the skills, everybody has something that's a little bit of a different variation. We have default skills set in there that are appropriate per level based off of the USASF regulations. But then again, like you said, you want a Valdez in level 1? Okay, put that as your requirement. And then all of a sudden that's now it's on your organization's level 1 tryout rubric.
100%. So if people want to get this app, or correct me if I'm wrong, it's a web-based application.
Yes, it's a web-based application that you access through your phone, through your iPad, or even through your computer. So what I intend on doing is I'm going to film all the tryouts through my phone, and then I'm going to use my laptop to sort teams, because it's all web-based. So it syncs to all your devices. Got it.
So it's, again, for those who don't understand what that terminology is, it's not something you're going into the app store and downloading and is living on your phone. This is something that you're going to get onto Google Chrome or get onto your web access, and then you're going to log in, similar to any other just web-based platform. And then you're going to access everything through that. I haven't played with it on my phone. I'm sure it works just fine. I've mostly done it on my computer. I always think working on my computer is better for like data entry things. I can have multiple screens and all that. But I imagine it's pretty intuitive, mobile friendly on iPhones and iPads and all that.
I even tried I tried out my daughters at my house, and then I went to my computer and it just did it all there.
What website are they going to go to sign up for a trial and then inevitably want to buy this thing because it's so helpful?
So everything goes from our website, which is cheersyncapp.com. That's cheersync, SYNC app.com.
Okay. Awesome. Well, and we'll put that in the show notes description. So if you're looking to access this and you're driving and you shouldn't be messing with your phone while you drive, just wait, look in the show notes. You can click on the link and get directly to it. So John, I normally ask people, hey, what's something you'd like to see grow in the industry or change in the industry or improved in the industry? Clearly, one of the things you saw was streamlining our tryout process, and you solved that already. So what is next on your changing the world agenda, or what would you like to see the industry progressing towards, or any advice for gym owners or coaches headed into tryout season, or just in general, any parting thoughts for the audience?
Oh man. How many hours do you have for this? Because I'm super passionate about this industry and where we could go with this.
We'll just have to have you back on.
Wonderful. Tryouts are a tough season, and my advice to everybody is, as stressed out as these athletes are, we have to remind ourselves that we're all on the same team. We want these kids to feel comfortable. We want this to be a friendly environment. We're working together for the same goals. We want to be successful. We want to teach these kids some great skills. We want to have fun. We want to teach them team dynamics, and it's going to be a good process. And the tryout process is the tryout process. You can't escape that. So don't add more stress to the kids, in my opinion, because they're already dealing with enough stress as it is. Let's have fun.
I love that. I am fully on board with that. I think that I get that there is a perspective of, you want to put pressure on kids to see how they're going to perform in competition. And I do get that, but also we're going to teach them how to perform in competition. We're going to teach them how to handle that pressure. Job. I think back to all the way back when I started cheer, like, I wasn't good. I could tumble because I was a gymnast, but I had no idea how to do anything else. And it could have been a situation like a coach could have been like, well, that kid's never going to be able to do a stunt. And next thing I know, I'm not in the sport that now is my career. So, give kids the opportunity to put their best foot forward. That's why I'm with you on that. I know there's people who are like, nope, you didn't land it, you don't get to go again. I'm like, go take another shot.
Well, that's our job as coaches. It's defined in the word itself, is to coach, because it's easy to take an athlete who already has every skill you need, who has the mindset that you need. And then at that point, you're just choreographing the routine. But as a coach, our job is to coach these kids. I want to be able to teach something to an athlete. I want to be able to take athlete Y from tryouts and see improvement from them through the rest of the year. And that's something that we as coaches have coached them to do. And that's kind of our job.
I love it. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for creating this cool app. You and your team have done an amazing job. I'm really excited to use it this season for our tryout. I think it's going to streamline things. It's going to help our process tremendously. So I'm actually really grateful that you reached out and offered me the opportunity to spend my money on this app, because it's going to save me time. And I am always looking for opportunities to buy my time back, because I believe it's valuable. Yeah. So
wonderful. Thanks for having me, Dan. It was good catching up.
Yes, sir. All right. We will catch you on the next episode, everybody.